listen to me, Caesar. There can be only one talking chimpanzee on Earth. The child of the two talking apes.
20 years back. From the year, Senor Mando, when the two talking apes arrived on Earth.
And we believe that the male and female talking apes have come to us out of the future.
A month before the talking apes arrived on Earth.
From now on, you have but one assignment. To find that talking ape.
He's a performing ape for my circus.
A talking ape? That idiot!
This chimpanzee...
Get out of retraction immediately. Announce that the talking ape has been apprehended and put to death.
Incredible! The talking apes!
What a wonderful day, ape fans! We are back, and we hope all you chimps, gorillas, orangutans, underdwellers, Tim Burton fans, and even you damn dirty humanoids are having a great summer. I am Richard Woloski, and we want to welcome you back to Talking Apes. This is your Planet of the Apes podcast, where we are coming up on our 10th year, as well as another anniversary. Ooh, a little tease right there. Now, over the last 10 years, we have broken down the films, the animated series, the live-action series. We've talked to fans. We've talked to the authors of the Planet of the Apes books, actors, and we are now breaking down the classic Marvel comics and having a great time with this. Now, Kevin Toft is off for this episode, but please welcome the Talking Apes Facebook group moderator, Mr. Patrick Izzo. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Richard, how are you?
I am doing good, and I'm so thankful that you're able to fill in for Kevin while he's taking this episode off.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. I know we've been having a lot of fun with the Ape listeners on the Facebook group page. Yeah, it's a good time to be an Apes fan. There's a lot of good engagement out there with the listeners and the other Ape fans. And I just encourage everybody, if you're listening to this and you're, number one, if you're not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group. If you are in the group, post stuff. I'll throw an example. David Braun does a great job. He collects. He's always posting different ape things that he collects out there. That's a lot of fun for me. I love seeing that. But, regardless of, what you're into, even if you just want to discuss, the films, the television series, if you do collect anything, post that stuff. It's fun. We all like seeing that. It creates a lot of engagement in the community. So I really encourage people get in there and post what you got.
I love seeing David Braun's collection. I think he's got more in his collection than the Fox archives.
He is the Fox archives at this point.
Now, how many times have you seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes this summer? This is the summer of the ape.
I've seen it 2 times now. I am going to be downloading the digital version of it today, which is something I also wanted to remind the Apes fans that it is out on digital. If you have Fandango at home, which used to be called Vudu, if you have Apple TV Plus, Amazon Prime, I believe the price is like $19.99. It's about roughly what your average DVD or Blu-ray would be. Get it. That way you don't, I'm a big fan of physical media, but if you really want to see it now, get the digital download. It is available now.
And for those fans of physical media, the 4K UHD Blu-ray and DVD will be coming out on August 27th. I haven't found any reports of a VHS release.
No, I don't know if we're going to get the VHS, but I know for the collectors out there, probably got their fingers crossed, but I would not be waiting on that.
And Betamax, I'm not going to hold my breath.
No, if you are going to come up with a Betamax version of that, you probably have a good collector's item in your hand.
Now, you've seen it twice, I've seen it twice, so I think we've added a couple of bucks to the domestic box office, which has come to $169.9 million. That's just domestic. Hopefully, we'll cross that barrier of 170 million. But come on, ape fans, we gotta put a couple more shekels into their pockets so it can cross that line.
It will get there.
Worldwide, it's gotten $394.9 million. So it needs a couple more dollars to hit the next tier.
Very impressive, nonetheless.
All right, now, speaking of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, they're going to have a huge presence at San Diego Comic-Con in just a couple of weeks. This is a big year for Planet of the Apes. There's going to be an immersive experience called Enter the Forbidden Zone. When I heard that, my head exploded. I want to do this so bad. Now, the press release reads, dive into 6 decades of one of the world's most popular and thought-provoking franchises with this immersive exhibition of costumes, comics, props, and so much more from the beloved Planet of the Apes series. Go behind the scenes on the latest hit film, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and relive some of the best moments and most compelling characters that have graced both page and screen since the dramatic cinematic debut of Planet of the Apes in 1968. And this is going to be held at the San Diego Wine and Culinary Center, which is across the street from the convention center. Address is 200 West Harbor Drive in San Diego. I know, unfortunately, you live on the other side of the country, so you're not going to be able to go. But you know what? I'm going, so if I'm going, you're going to come with me, because I'm going to bring all the Ape fans as we get so much footage from these experiences.
The East Coast Ape fans like myself will live vicariously through you with this.
And we'll bring you along as much as possible, and believe me, you'll be joining us during the Enter the Forbidden Zone interactive immersive experience. This is going to be so incredible, because once the films leave theaters, usually the studios are like, okay, moving right along, but it's coming onto the physical media, so they're going to be really touting that.
Yeah, and you need things like this to really kind of keep fan engagement going, because like you said, once movies leave the theater, and then a lot of times things kind of die down, and you need good interactive things like this to keep the engagement with the fans and keep the interest going.
Yeah, this tells me that they're thinking about sequels, because they want to keep Planet of the Apes in people's consciousness, in the zeitgeist. So let's have as much as you can. And where better? Comic-Con. You have your audience right there. And not only that, there's also a panel unveiling the visual effects magic 20th Century Fox Studios' Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And this is going to be held Thursday, July 25th at 1:45 p.m. at the Convention Center, which is good. That means you don't get to leave the Convention Center, because it's nice and air-conditioned in there. And if you're making notes, this is going to be in room 6A. Now, for a whole written recap, go over there to our website, skywalkingthroughneverland.com, and we've got a whole written article about everything. Now, the write-up for this panel reads, delve into the technical and human elements that created the visual effects masterpiece, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, with some of the best visual effects talent in the business. Join lead cast members, Freya Allen, Kevin Durand, Owen Teague, and Peter Macon, alongside visualization supervisor Casey Pike, Weta effects effects supervisor Eric Winquist, and one of the film's editors, Dan Zimmerman, as they unveil the visual effects magic behind the majestic beasts and battles, and bringing director Wes Ball's vision to life. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm already salivating.
You're getting the A squad right there. You're getting the first string. So that sounds like a really, really good experience.
Yeah, you know what? After we're done recording this, I'm gonna head down to San Diego so I can be the first one in line. This is going to fill up.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's going to be a ton of people out there for this. I can't imagine that this is not going to be flooded with Apes fans. That'll be great.
Yeah, just looking at this poster again, I'm getting my ape chills back. The chills of excitement and anticipation that we all felt moving up to the premiere of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes back on May 10th. That seems like a lifetime ago now.
I know it does. And earlier you mentioned sequels. With the end of Kingdom, I have no doubt that they are definitely looking for sequels for this movie, which I'm definitely looking forward to. I know you are. So those are going to be great. I just hope we don't have to wait too long.
No, that'll be one of the first questions I ask. You know what? Speaking for the ape fans and talking apes, could we have the next sequel in August?
Yeah, let's get it out right now. We'll be there for it. We'll pay money. We'll be there.
How about this? Okay, Westball, hear me out. You want to have the prosthetic apes and the digital apes in one series. Come on, work with us here.
Make sure you show up with your Migos in hand.
Oh, and throw some Migos in there. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going crazy thinking about this. All right, now with that, Patrick, let's move on to our feature focus of this episode. Now, right before April, which seems like another lifetime ago, we broke down Marvel's adaptation of Planet of the Apes. Now, it's only fitting that we break down the 5 issues of Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Oh, check it out. 5 issues. Can't wait to do this.
Can't wait to get into it.
Unfortunately, this is the last of Marvel's adaptations for the films. Arg.
Yeah, and it's like if you think about, how much potential there was with the other movies, I would love to have seen a comic adaptation. Maybe not so much battle, but at least Escape and Conquest I would have loved.
You know what? I won't tell Bobby Porter you said that.
Please don't. I love you, Bobby. I love you. I'm sorry.
But you know what? Marvel has come out with other Planet of the Apes comics, so you know what? We're on a good roll with these, so we'll keep that comic train going. Now, if you don't have these original issues, you can find them in a Planet of the Apes, the original Marvel Years Omnibus, which is right there, which came out last year. Or you can watch us on YouTube, and we'll show you all the panels as we go through them. Now, this omnibus right here, this does have all 11 issues of the Adventures on the Planet of the Apes series, and this ran between 1975 and 1976, and it adapted Planet of the Apes and Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And once again, if you don't have this omnibus, watch it right here on YouTube. Now, for a little history of the Beneath the Planet of the Apes adaptation, now Gold Comics, they produced the adaptation in 1970. Now, Marvel Comics then published a different version in 2 series in a black and white magazine and a color comic book, which came out between 1975 and 1976. Now, Malibu Comics, they reprinted the Marvel adaptations when they had the license in the early 1990s. So there were so many ways you could see the Beneath the Planet of the Apes adaptation. Now, did you get this, Patrick?
I own that. I got that the day that came out as a trade paperback. And I was going to say, if we're going to be doing more of these comic adaptation reviews, we have to do this one. And we have to get Max Cervantes on for this as well, because we need Max for, he and I are also the Star Trek guys too. So we got to get Max in on this.
You know what? I didn't even think about going through these. I think this is maybe our next one. And in case you're just listening and not watching, we're talking about the 2015 IDW Planet of the Apes, the Primate Directive, where the crew of the original series Enterprise followed a Klingon ship into the universe of Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, this was a really good one. Even if you weren't an Apes fan and you just like Star Trek, this is a really good read. If you just like Apes, just in and of itself, it doesn't matter. But if you are a fan of both these franchises and you have not read this, stop what you're doing, immediately go out to your local comic book store and get this trade paperback right now.
There's so much Apes coming in our future. All right, with that, let's now get into the very first issue of Beneath the Planet of the Apes. This is issue number 7 in their Adventures on the Planet of the Apes series. And this was written by Doug Moench with artwork by Alfredo Alcala, whose style is drastically different from the artist from the Planet of the Apes adaptation. This is, drastically different.
That was the first thing I noticed. Like, this looks nothing like the last one that we did.
Yeah, and we'll go into it as much as we can because wow, Nova is like a whole different actress here.
I've got many comments on that.
Okay, now this was released in August of 1976. We released the cover on the Facebook group and the page, so all the apes out there could tell us their comments, their commentary on this cover. And the cover art was done by Klaus Janson and Mike Nasser. And here we see Brent, who is heavily sweating. His hand is clasped over a petrified Nova's mouth. They are hiding behind a large shrubbery from a squad of yellow and red-clad gorilla soldiers. And Brent whispers, "Quiet, Nova. If those gorillas catch us, they'll kill us both." Now, before we go into the Facebook comments, Patrick, give us your comments on this cover art.
So, It doesn't even appear as though Brent has Nova. It looks more like he's got Mary Jane Watson from the Spider-Man comics. That was immediately the first thing that I thought of. But I'm sure that you have a licensing issue that you probably can't draw these people exactly like the actors look because of an image and likeness issue or whatnot. But the thing that I found funny, and we'll see it as we go along, is it's almost like on every page, Nova looks like a completely different woman.
Yeah, yeah, and nothing like she does on the cover, like Mary Jane Watson.
No, if you saw this and this made you pick this up as a kid, you'll be very disappointed as you flip through because that is the last time Nova looks this way.
Good point. Now, I love gorilla soldiers no matter what color their uniforms are. I would love a Migo or NECA figure in this color scheme. And I am waiting for the day, and this has got to happen, when we see cosplayers dressed in this color scheme.
Somebody has to do this because I'm always impressed with the idea that the cosplayers come up with when you did Luke Skywalker from the holiday special. Awesome. Who else is doing? Nobody is doing that. No one is doing this either. Like somebody has to do this.
Yeah, it's a deep, 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 deep dive. But I think the Talking Apes listeners will all be like, yep, we get you. We get you. Right on the nose. Now, here we see Brent. He's telling Nova to be quiet or they'll be killed. And seems like he's the only one making noise. Why don't you be quiet there, Brent?
I mean, look how bold those words are, too. It's like he looks like he's clearly yelling at her, yet he's telling her to keep quiet.
Now, we got a lot of comments on Brent telling Nova to keep quiet. All right, now, David Braun says in the Facebook group, first gorilla looks like Dave Navarro from Ink Master, and Nova can't speak anyways.
No.
Brian Smith says, this cover always made me laugh considering Nova can't speak. Paul Haber says, Brent looks like how Marvel will draw Luke Skywalker because they can't use Mark Hamill's likeness. Good point. Also, he's telling a mute girl to be quiet.
I'm detecting a trend here.
Now, Paul Haber, he says something totally different. He says, I'm thinking when looking at the color scheme to the gorilla soldiers, he's saying, I'm thinking early Daredevil.
And I commented too. I said when I first looked at it, and I think he got me beat because it is more like Daredevil. The first thing I thought of, he looks like he's wearing a classic Iron Man suit.
Yeah. Yeah, Marvel loves their red and yellow figures.
They do. They do. But I'll give that to Paul Haber, though. I do like the Daredevil one better.
That's classic. All right, Brian Babcock says, is that a vampire with fangs in the top left corner? Oh, looking at the gorilla in the little icon box. Yeah, the Marvel artists used to love to draw them with sharp fangs.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the debate that was had about the animated series. The pigs, the vampires, and I can't remember what else.
You know what? Where's Mark? He needs to be in on this
Mark
conversation. All right, now let's talk about this splash page. Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Now, on top, it says, Stan Lee presents Planet of the Apes. Now, is it me, or does that seem very misleading?
Slightly misleading.
Maybe presents Marvel's Planet of the Apes? I don't know. We're a page in, and already we got comments. Now, there's more comments to come. Check this out. We open where Planet of the Apes left off as we see Taylor as he sees the Statue of Liberty. However, this looks drastically different from what we saw in the Planet of the Apes adaptation. Here, he looks like Santa Claus or Zeus.
He looks like Kraven the Hunter.
Or Kraven the Hunter. But when we last saw the Statue of Liberty, it looked like this.
Right.
Are there two Statue of Liberties in New York?
Well, that Statue of Liberty in this issue does not look like Lady Liberty. It looks like a man Liberty. And not only that, it also looks like the God figure from Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. That looks exactly like what Kirk found at the end of that movie. As bad as that movie was, that's the first thing I thought.
They just have no consistency. That's a riot. All right, the narration reads, here the first journey ended. Here, the second one begins. Now, this is where we need, you know what, someone get Mark Gushowitz on speed dial, because if he were here right now, we'd be arguing if what Taylor was kneeling in front of, is that a puddle? He's kneeling beside an ocean and a puddle.
Yeah.
So we get the best of both worlds there. That's
Yeah.
his way of saying, would you guys stop arguing about this, please? All right, now, the narration tells us that Taylor and Nova have been traveling for 3 days since they last saw the Statue of Liberty. They come upon a small pool of water. Is it a lake? Is it a puddle? I don't know. Let's move on. But Taylor notices that the trees around them are dead, and he thinks the water is poisoned, but he's thirsty, so he goes for it.
Yeah, just dive right in there. Don't worry about it. It might be poison, but hey, let's just go for it.
Yeah, the story needs to continue, so Taylor, just go for it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
If something happens to you, we have Franciscus in the waiting room.
Yeah, back up.
Yeah, so he offers some water to Nova, which, how manly of you. Is it poison? I don't know. Nova, you check it out first.
Is that Nova though? Because again, that does not look like Nova from the cover of this comic.
I don't know who this looks like, but certainly not Linda Hamilton.
No.
And so Taylor says, you and the horse might as well wet your whistles. So now Pete is going to come down on him, because not only is he trying to poison Nova, but poison the animals.
Yeah, he's on a roll here with this whole, I don't know whether this is safe to drink, but let's just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't say, why don't you go for it first, and then tell me how it is. if you keel over, I'll keep on moving.
Exactly.
But at least Taylor is seen in his Fred Flintstone George of the Jungle wardrobe.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's like Tarzan ready to swing into this comic page with that outfit on.
Never ceases to get a laugh out of me. Right now. Taylor continues to speak to Nova when she just stares back at him. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He says that they should just stop and start a new human colony and play house just like Adam and Eve. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
He then tries to teach her how to say Nova and Taylor. He gives her his dog tag and says, it means we're going steady. Is that still a thing? People would say, hey, here's a ring, here's a dog tag. Now we're going steady. I haven't heard that since Happy Days.
No, I think that died out decades ago.
Yeah.
But when this was out, I'm sure that was still a thing then.
That was still a thing, yeah, going steady. Next, he's going to give him his Letterman jacket. All right. She tries to say something, but no sound comes out. So Taylor says that her lips are trying, and it'd be a shame to let them go to waste, and seizes the opportunity and kisses her. You slide dog.
I know. Look, he just slides right in there. His first opportunity. No, I don't know if that'd be allowed today.
And today, no.
No.
Boundaries.
No. Yeah, that's the first time I saw that one. I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that in 2024.
Now, as they travel further, Taylor sees a crumpled tombstone ahead and declares it Manhattan. So I'm guessing at this point, Ellis Island is no more, and they didn't take a ferry over to Manhattan?
No, I think that they're just, there's no more water there. They're just walking straight across. But at that panel, I thought that would be a really good idea in the film if they saw something like that, if you were able to. And I know that the budgets for the movies consistently went down as they went through, but you're only talking about the second movie. It's like that would have been really great if they had actually shown the ruins of Manhattan like that, when they showed Nova and Taylor kind of going through the Forbidden Zone. But another opportunity lost.
They'll wait until they get to Battle for the Planet of the Apes, and they can just do it in one big matte painting.
Yeah.
Now, as they travel to their Big Apple, suddenly a fire bursts in front of them. Taylor says, what the devil's feeding it? There's nothing to burn. The sky then cracks with a deafening roar, and jagged bolts of neon lightning stabs down to impale the ground. The ground splits in front of them, forcing them to race back. A wall of ice blocks their path. Taylor is confused, but determined to figure out what's going on. Taylor tells Nova to go back to Ape City and find Zira.
And why a wall of ice? I mean, it's all of this up to this point is pretty much coming directly out of the movie. When have we ever seen ice in any of these films? I don't know why it wasn't just like the original film. Here's a big wall of rock, but ice, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, it looks more like a waterfall.
It does. And the funny thing about this is, as you read it, it says that he's going to use the butt of the rifle to make some footholds. It's like, Taylor, that thing looks like it's 25 feet in the air. How many footholds you going to make, to be able to climb up a wall of ice, dude?
Yeah, do you recall the properties of ice? That's not going to work out for you.
Yeah, I mean, he's an astronaut. He's a relatively intelligent person, and I'm sitting there scratching my head going, yo, dude, I don't know what you're thinking on this one.
Yeah, so as he tries to forge footholds, he plunges the rifle into the wall of ice, and he just falls right through.
Yeah, he's gone.
Later, now as Taylor vanishes, so does the wall of ice. Nova is left behind and lets out a shrill scream of terror. A scream that is not heard several miles away at the wreck of a small reconnaissance spacecraft. These people over here, they didn't hear Nova scream because I'm sure she opens up her mouth and not much comes out.
No, not a whole lot. Not for a mute girl.
Out of that small spacecraft appears our buddy Brent. Now, he is aiding another astronaut who has lost his sight. Brent fills him in and reports that they are in the year 3955 AD. He figures that they've come through a bend in time. The skipper starts to freak out as the realization has hit him that his family has long since died. And a few moments later, he dies too. As Brent buries his friend, he is suddenly startled by Nova, who comes up behind him on the horse. Now, I don't know if you had much experience with horses, Patrick, but when a horse is walking up to you, you hear him.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's the what kind of caught me with this too. I'm like, nobody on a horse is sneaking up to you. I mean, I just, I don't know how that's possible, but I didn't write it.
It's kind of like in Jurassic Park in the very end when the T-Rex comes out of nowhere and saves the heroes when he grabs the velociraptor in his mouth. It's like, wait, how did that T-Rex just sneak up on you to save the day?
Yeah,
It's a T-Rex. Before this, you knew a T-Rex was coming when you saw the little pools, little ripples in the cup of water.
yeah. There's nobody with an animal that size is going to catch you off guard. But here we are.
He asks Nova her name, but she doesn't speak. He then notices the tag hanging around her neck and sees Taylor's name. He tries asking if he is hurt or even alive, and Nova points in the direction where Taylor has disappeared.
Now Nova has once again changed to look like a different woman yet again. If you look at her in that middle panel, if you're a professional wrestling fan, she looks exactly like China from the WWF.
You know what? Now that you say that, I can't unsee it.
She keeps morphing and changing into these different people.
Now, instead of taking him to where she last saw Taylor for some reason, she takes him to Ape City, because that's where he's going to be the safest. And he is in shock as he sees what? What does he see? He sees altogether now talking apes. Roll credits. Now, a citizens' council is starting with Ursus at the head of the table. Now, in the film, he was addressing soldiers on the arena steps.
Right.
But
Right.
not here. He goes on to say that when he became the army commander, what he saw broke his heart. Don't think he's got a heart.
No, and if you look at the pictures of Versus, when did you ever think you'd seen an Urko helmet that's yellow?
Never.
Never.
But now I want to see another cosplayer in this outfit. Come on, cosplayers. Don't let me down.
No, let's get it together. We got to get them out there in these outfits.
And the parasites, these humans, have infected their land, and he cannot let that go.
No.
He goes on and on and on about how disgusting and dumb the human species is. He doesn't think they're evil, and even though the lawgiver says that they will never have the ape's divine faculty for distinguishing between good and evil, and the only good human is what?
The only good human is a dead human.
So I think he's got a little bit more compassion for the humans because he doesn't see them as evil. It's like, well, they're not smart enough to be evil.
They're not smart enough, but I don't know if I call him compassionate because right here he's
No.
talking about we're going to wipe them all out.
You know what? I was trying to give him a little bit of credit here, but
Nah, you can't.
You
He
can't.
gets no credit. Maybe in a different department, but not this one. He's definitely not a compassionate ape.
No. Mm-mm. Now, Brent has heard enough from what? The talking apes.
Ape.
And knows he should leave very quickly. Ursus continues that the humans that remain alive will have the privilege of being used by the Minister of Science. There he is, Dr. Zaius.
But is it though? Look at him.
Yeah. Well,
Look at him.
Ursus says he's Dr. Zaius, but that's not the Dr. Zaius I know. This is an alternate dimension Dr. Zaius.
I had to get my reading glasses on and really take a look at that because I'm like, Dr. Zaius where? And that is not the Dr. Zaius that I know from the movies, the television show, or anywhere else. But
even the Mego figure.
Not even the Mego figure.
All right, I want to say this. I don't want to see any cosplayer as this Dr. Zaius.
No, I would be very, very disappointed. This is a very strange, weak-looking Dr. Zaius. I mean, he looks like he's 109 years old in this picture. Look at him, that gray hair. He looks like a little old woman ape.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on for this because this is getting me annoyed. Now, Zira tries to speak up against Ursus's military madness. That needs to be the name of a new rock band, new cover band. Ursus's Military Madness.
We got to start that. That'd be great.
Plays nothing but war horns and war drums. Oh, or they can do the Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zaius.
Oh, okay. Okay, fans, come on.
Yeah.
We need cosplayers and we need a cover band called Ursus's Military Madness.
We got to get Rob Dellinger on the phone. He can change the name of the band.
Let me make a note of that. But Cornelius pulls his wife down when he sees soldiers heading their way. With a look of madness in his eyes, Ursus speaks of never losing their purpose and never becoming weak and hairless, and says, "We know how to purify our own people with blood." Whoa.
Not very compassionate.
What? Yeah, I was kind of loose with that term, wasn't I?
Yeah, I mean, we could call Ursus many things. I'm telling you, compassionate is not coming to mind for me.
Now, instead of being freaked out by that last part, the ape community chants, "Hail Ursus, hail Ursus, hail Ursus." Did you not hear what he said? He wants to purify you with blood. I'm thinking human blood, but maybe he'll be compassionate the way he kills him. Ursus, I'm trying my best to stick up for you, buddy.
You're doing a great job advocating for him, but I can't do it.
It's not working out.
It's not working for me.
Now, the power-hungry Ursus then says that they have evidence that the Forbidden Zone is inhabited and they must go there and take the land by invasion. Meanwhile, Nova takes Brent away. He figures they are going to see the chimp that she was excited to see, that being Zira. And back at Ape City, Zira, she's still protesting. You can't keep a good chimpanzee woman down.
No.
Finally, Cornelius gets her to keep moving before the soldiers move them themselves.
Now, let me ask you this. I said earlier, I understand that you cannot draw these people, at least the humans, as the actors they would be because of an image and likeness or deal. Who are these apes? Because they do not look anything like Cornelius and Zira. And I can't imagine you couldn't draw them the way the makeup looked in the movie. I mean, maybe it looks a little bit like Zira, but that looks nothing like Roddy McDowall's portrayal of Cornelius. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, at this point, the film has been out for a couple of years. There's reference photos. I'm sure this was one of many comics the artists were working on. So they had a couple of reference pictures of chimpanzees and make them look like this.
Like, that's what I wonder. Like, have they even watched these movies, or they just tell them, "Look, this is the script. Just adapt this thing. Don't worry about watching those movies."
Yeah, from what I've learned about these classic Marvel artists, they're each working on like 10 issues per day.
Yeah.
So I'll give them a little license for that. Now, Nova leads Brent to Zira and Cornelius's place, but before they can get there, they duck in the shrubs as a gorilla soldier walks by. Brent steps on a branch, which catches the soldier's attention. He tells whoever is hiding to come out, or he will shoot to kill.
And think about it, if you're going to shoot, aren't you always shooting to kill?
If you're a gorilla, yes.
If you're a gorilla, what gorillas are not shooting to kill?
Yeah, I think that's his way of drawing whoever's in there out, but at least give him the benefit of the doubt. It's Ape City. What could be in there but an ape, a chimpanzee, a gorilla? If it's a human, then that's on you, gorilla soldier. We're going to call him Jason. That's on you, Jason. All right, Patrick, guess what? This is the end of part 1. Next issue, Enslaved. If you were just reading this comic and hadn't seen the film, would this inspire you to go on with this storyline?
You know what? I don't. Maybe not, because I think that this has got a lot of exposition and not as much action. And I know when I was a kid and you're reading comic books, I want to jump right in and get right to the action. And there really wasn't a whole lot of anything here. Now conversely, if you have seen the movie, this wasn't bad because it follows along generally with the way the beginning of the movie goes. A couple things were different, and that's what I found interesting is what are the differences between what's portrayed in this comic versus what's in the film. But if you had somebody that never saw the film and handed them this comic book and said, "Here, let me know if this makes you interested in the film," honestly, I don't think so.
Yeah, we were about halfway through until we saw the first ape, which is a lot like the Planet of the Apes adaptation. I think we were 3/4 into our first issue before we saw Ape 1.
Yeah.
And as a kid, while watching these on TV on Sunday mornings, I think I would, if my mom said, "Hey, it's going to start at noon," all right, call me at 12:30.
Yeah. And if you look at how, again, going back to the artwork of this, because it's very vastly different than the first one that we did. But if you look at it, when they drew Ursus, he looks great because you have like a real close up of him. But when you look at like the other gorillas, they're almost sketchy looking. Like, you know what I mean? Because they're kind of in the background and they don't have a lot of detail. They don't really look all that great. It's not a lot to, in my opinion, to really grab you to go, "Oh, wow, these things look great. They look scary," or anything like that.
It's kind of like the film. All the background apes all wore masks. So maybe they're trying to replicate that.
Yeah, they got some Don Post masks in the background.
And yeah, if you look in some of these panels, maybe it does say Don Post on some of the artwork.
Yeah, good.
So some cross promoting there. That's how it's done.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, now we're gonna read a couple of emails that we had gotten in our Listen to the Apes segment. Now, John Evans, he just wrote and said, "I just finished rewatching the live action and cartoon series with the sound off and listened to the podcast." So we provided the commentary.
That's great. Continue to do that, please.
Yes, it's really funny listening to the arguments over the pronunciation of Urko's name and helmet, Jason and his horse, vampires, pigs, bears, or puddle versus lake.
These are bringing back such great memories of those episodes for me.
The best comment where you compared the humanoids running in their cave to them running during a fire drill. You know what? We did that like 10 years ago, so I don't recall that part, but I do recall all the arguments me and Mark Rogushowitz had about names and pigs and bears and vampires and puddles and lakes.
No, those are classic arguments. And how he didn't mention, what was the name of the song? "I'm a Humanoid for You."
Yeah. Yeah. Every once in a while, if I'm with Mark and he's doing something, he'll be humming that tune.
Yeah, he's whistling that tune every day, I'm sure.
Yeah. Maybe if it's not him humming, then I think it's his ringtone. It might be his ringtone.
It probably is.
Yeah. All the best, John Evans. Well, thank you so very much. It's really really impressive that we were able to keep up with the show with our commentary, because I know some of our shows would go on for like 2 hours where the show was like 22 minutes. So I had to probably pause a lot.
There's a lot to break down in those episodes.
Yes. So I'm very humbled. Thank you, John. There's another email, but there was no name attached to it. And this unnamed person says, "I would have loved more backstory on Proximus." So he's talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
This would be perfect for the comics to delve into. Ooh, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
One of the best arcs from Boom was the Great Khan storyline. I don't recall. I didn't get into the Boom comics.
No, I didn't either. And I saw his email and I was like, you know what? I may have to look that up to really try to get a point of reference for that, but I didn't really get into them either.
Yeah, I got a couple of issues. I just never read them. But you know what? After the Prime Directive, well, we had a lot to do, a lot to cover.
Oh yeah, there's a lot, and that's the great thing because there's still a lot out there, to do, to go over. So that's going to be a lot of fun coming up.
All right, he continues, the current Marvel line would do better exploring how different ape societies evolve and less trying to shoehorn in Cornelius and the gang. Although Ursus War Journal has a nice ring to it. I would read that, the Ursus War Journal. I think we almost read some of it right now.
Kind of, yeah, and I like that because he's taken that. He's clearly a Punisher fan, as am I, so that's really cool. I like that.
Yes. All right, with that, we've got to wrap things up. Well, that does it for this episode of Talking Apes. I gotta give it to Patrick Izzo over there, the Talking Apes Facebook moderator. Thank you so much for filling in for Kevin Toft. And we want to thank all the Ape listeners for watching the show on YouTube or just listening to the show on their favorite podcatcher. And we also want to thank Rob Dellinger, who composed the theme to Talking Apes. Please check out Rob's band at alpharhythmkings.com. I saw Rob in concert last week. I kept yelling, Talking Apes. But the band didn't know it, so he said next time.
He's got to get them up to speed on that song.
I know he does. Get a new band, something.
Yeah.
We are part of the Skywalking Network. Patrick?
Skynet.
There you go. Where you can find other great shows like the Max Effects Podcast, the Neverland Clubhouse, Totally Tell Me Everything, Star Warsologies, and the flagship show, Skywalking Through Neverland. And catch our YouTube shows, Collectopolis and Today in Star Wars History. Now stay tuned for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it to the show right after the credits. So until next time, this is Richard.
And this is Patrick.
Now, go Ape!
I don't think we had a lot of bloopers in that episode, do you?